This is Nina Lockwood. Welcome to Get Your Happy Back. Stories and insights that will inspire you to find new sources of happiness in your own life. Wait a minute. Your noisy mind might be shutting down the very creativity that you're trying to express. So in today's episode, Cherie Ray and I talk about a much better alternative. Okay, hello and welcome to Get Your Happy Back. And today we've got Cherie Ray. And sorry, I didn't mean to make that rhyme, but that's how it happened. We're just going with that serendipity wave today.
Let's do it. Let's do
Okay.
it. Let the flow take us.
So I will just say a couple things about what I know that you do, and we'll let the mystery of what you don't do unfold or not, as it may. But you, as far as I know, you are a coach, consultant. You also are an intuitive art instructor. So from there, I'm going to hand it over to you and let you talk about mostly about this process of art, what it's done for you, what you've seen it do for the students that have worked with you, and really point the way for how we can get out of our own heads and our own problems and see life from a bigger perspective.
Thank you, Nina. Thank you. I thought about that as we were going to have a conversation, and I thought a way to point people that, as I reflected on it, was the wisdom in creating, to really communicate to people the opportunity in creating is so different than making a specific something, having to produce a product that is acceptable to my preferences and to my intellect. And, to kind of put it in the context that there's creating is a great lane of traffic to really touch wisdom, you know,
Say more
to know
about
that
that.
it exists there. That, well, what I've noticed, like within myself, and what I encourage people in the intuitive painting process is, and what I'll say, I'll back up a little bit. The greatest benefit to intuitive painting for me was that you create with no goal in mind,
Mm.
which pointed me in the direction of, this was a curse word for a long time, surrender. It's got more than four letters, but that must just be that was an expletive in my idea of surrender. There was no good in surrender, but in taking it off the table to have a specific goal in mind didn't allow wisdom to come to really lead the process. Everything I already knew would be engaged with me in creating, and there was no space for what I didn't know.
Good point. Sounds like most of us.
Right, right. So, in that idea of like, wait a minute, what if I know when I first kind of looked around, I thought creativity was uh, um, technique based, that you had to have skill set for creating, and otherwise you weren't creative. The royal me, we,
Mhm.
whatever you want to say, that you had to have techniques to be creative. And then the more I started receiving like an incredible feeling for no good reason from a dot or a dash or taking a risk and just the act of creating, that I really saw that that's where the place for wisdom could come in. And the more I could surrender my preferences, wants, and needs to be able to park them on the side, wisdom, or I'll say wisdom in the frame of surprise, mystery, uh, of not knowing, and not knowing not being a problem,
Yes.
that you could be given or supported in the moment that you needed it, but
Hmm.
not two strokes ahead of time. And then to really see that there's a wisdom at play outside my thinking mind.
Hmm. I was going to ask you, as a matter of fact, and you already answered before I asked you, but I was going to ask you what you meant by wisdom. And it seems to me, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, is that we are really conduits or channels for this wisdom, this life force, this energy that is behind all of life. And we can either get in the way by saying, no, I want it to go this way rather than that way, or we can surrender, or maybe another word is just be open. So it's not a bad word after all, and
Mm-hmm.
see what comes through. And I want to know what you think about that, because in working with a lot of professional women, especially who are used to strategies and planning and knowing what's coming and knowing how to prepare for it, that the idea of letting go is scary to them. It's like,
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. And that's why I think creating the act of creating anything, I don't care if it's a meal, an outfit, a painting, a collage, a garden, a conversation, but in that place of creating, you start to see that you're held and supported
mm,
when you're given something didn't come from your personal thinking because it's so new and different. You're like, that didn't come from me, but it was a solution or it presented I'll call it a solution. I hate to say everything's a problem needing a solution, but it brought something to me that I could never have imagined, and it was like dropped in and gifted while my thinking mind that had run every scenario and agenda imaginable, that this piece of higher solution, I'll say a higher solution than what I could, just came in and kind of got right in between the cracks of all those scenarios I would run in my head. And it was like, maybe Cinderella putting her foot in the slippers. It was a perfect fit that you couldn't see happening. And and it took no effort to get it other than to make this dot, this dash, glue down a googly eye, just thinking. I think that there's such an illusion that there's safety in agendas and planning.
mm-hmm. Well, they have their place.
That totally they have their place. And I say you can still keep them and have their place with a box labeled surprise, you know? Yeah, I wanted to at least have a chair at the table. You know what I mean? So you're
Right.
not so committed to your agenda that there's not space for a higher intelligence to deliver a higher solution that could be even for all good, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's what I say about wisdom is like like you said, there's an organizing intelligence behind life that we can't. I haven't found anybody that has won the argument that it doesn't exist. I don't know what you call it. You can call it whatever you want, but that nobody can say there's not something else besides what my mind can come up with.
Yeah. Well, you're talking to the choir here and
Right,
probably
right,
to
right. But
many
I don't care what
listeners,
you
but
call it.
yeah, absolutely. So I'm curious what you found with students that have taken your intuitive art classes.
Mhm.
Where do you see the resistance coming in, and how do they get past it besides your encouragement or along with your encouragement?
Right, right. I think that the environment has to be so safe. You know,
And what does
people,
that mean, safe?
I think there has to be space for people to relax and whatever supports them in relaxing, and I'll say relaxing in the that they won't be criticized or that they won't be judged, or that somebody's not watching them, or that they are going to be, outed. What's wrong with them? I mean, there's very few places in the world where you can just be.
Hmm. Right.
And so, in that place of once you can kind of feel safe to just be, you're not under anybody's microscope, then they start to realize they're really under their own microscope. The one that really is the holding the gavel is themselves.
Right.
And then, through prompts and through understanding about how creativity works, they start to go, they start to question the things that occur to them to paint. Like it might be something as simple as using black. And they're like, then they start to see, oh, well, I can't use black. I can't use black. I mean, I'll fall into the abyss and never come out, you know? Or they get real confronted with what looks real to them.
Mm, right.
What looks real to them. So all it takes is like, well, just put a little bit of black. And then they realize they don't fall off the edge of the earth, and it feels so good to say yes to something that their mind had suggested was forbidden or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's amazing how much black somebody really needs to paint, you know, how much really on the inside gets satisfied and to just get to paint something is what seems, but it's all benign, but what seems even more benign would be like, 10 sheets of black. You can't imagine the buzz you get off of painting 10 sheets of black.
I'm
Some
going to do
people
that.
think you can't. So that gets people real curious about how does such a feeling come from doing something so absurd, or doing something so pedantic, or doing something as simple as a dot. And it comes with such a feeling that they can't deny the feeling of it because it touches something so more than satisfying, even. It touches something so deep inside them that they get kind of shocked. Like their mind is trying to make sense of how could that feel so good? Because all it was sheets of black, and it's like, what else? I mean, the
Yes. What
disconnect is
else?
like,
Right.
yeah, what else? What else is on offer? If something I don't need a skill to do, I can just respond to the hunger some part of me has for black, and then the feeling that comes after that. After that, they start to get curious and a little more comfortable that it's creating with in this way, allowing wisdom into the creative process. There's really more on offer than something acceptable to frame and hang.
Well, isn't that the biggest, not the biggest, but certainly one of the biggest obstacles of every person who does not think they're an artist?
Oh, yeah.
That whatever they are producing has to look good to other people and has to have these acceptable guidelines. It's all made up. It's all made up. It's all based on fear.
It's all made up. It's all made up. And I think it's that I think it's a vulnerability that human beings have, that their inadequacies, air quotes, inadequacies will be revealed, and that they'll just be humiliated and vaporized and sucked off the earth or something, you know?
Yeah.
And it's, I think, Nina, if I was going to kind of boil it down, I've noticed this the other day. It's like when we create, we can either create from um, from the part of us that holds a right and a wrong, or we can create from the part, I'll say the universal part of us, that there is no right and wrong, and that personal part, right and wrong, it just fears death. So every time you listen to another voice besides this strong voice of right and wrong, it puts the fear of death very, very much
Pretty dramatic.
under the surface. You know what I mean? It wakes up some sort of survival thing that says, "Oh my God, if I don't do it this way."
Yeah.
But over here, the bigger, also universal intelligence is really trying to bring you home to yourself.
Yeah.
And that's where that satisfying feeling comes from. So it's like, gosh, I get it. That part, that right and wrong is really, it's just, we don't realize how much we fear death, or that it fears the death of its presence in our experience of life. It's like, oh
Hmm.
my, if we're not listening to that right and wrong all the time, we're a wild card.
And how to play devil's advocate here? How exciting!
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. And then you get this really, really piece of understanding that, oh, not knowing is not a problem. I am as safe in the not knowing. I am more safe in the not knowing than I am in this whole little right and wrong, good and bad universe that the innocence of my mind has created.
What a good way of putting it. I think that's the one of the. Well, also, I want your opinion on this, but that's one of the trickiest lessons to learn when we have been taught as we grow up to do things this way, expect these results. If you do this, this is going to happen. If you don't do this, that's going to happen. But if we, and we don't know, we go right back to it's all made up. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what ideas are going to pop in our head. But the idea of freedom, inner freedom, I mean, who doesn't really want that? Because don't we all get tired of all the things we shouldn't do, holding ourselves back?
I don't think there's anybody that on some level really wants permission to be themselves and to take their space on the planet. That's it. Just
Yep.
total. It kind of goes back to what I was talking about, like in a creative space. It really does invite people to be themselves, and that's why, in my opinion, other people's interpretations of what you create is not helpful. Even their criticisms, if it's a technique class, wonderful. If we're welding, you need to know those things. We don't want to blow up something, but and if we're wanting to paint photo real, fabulous. If that lights you up, paint photo real. Mastering a technique is wonderful, but you don't have to have it
Right. Right.
to be able to feel creative in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If we were only taught that from, wee babes, that just, now the phrase just be you, it's almost indecipherable. Like, well, I don't know who I am because my parents taught me this, school taught me that, and on it goes
Absolutely.
until we finally say, no, I've had enough. It doesn't feel good anymore.
It doesn't feel good. It can be. I kind of make a joke about it all the time, going, anytime that my mind might suggest that I'm stuck or out of ideas or no inspiration, I just kind of go, oh, I painted myself in a corner in my
So to
own mind.
speak.
You know what I mean? Nobody else did it to me. I did it to myself because this intelligence that we're inviting into, or the wisdom behind creating, I'll say the wisdom in creating, is always offering expansion. And our personal minds are always saying, get back in the box. But there's a hunger, like you said, there's a hunger just that gets touched when we create. And in your work, that's You've seen it with everyone you work with and within yourself. We couldn't even share this if we hadn't journeyed down those roads to ourselves to go,
Yeah.
no, there's something besides that suggestion of safe. There's a real safe out here
Yeah.
in the mystery of not knowing.
What do you think is the relationship between real self-expression,
Mhm.
which is really being who we are, creating what we want to create, and, well, this is not the right word, but it's close enough. Self-esteem, that feeling of, okay, I'm safe, I got it, it's okay. What do you think about that?
I think self-esteem and self-expression don't even have a relationship,
Mm,
you know?
more.
Well, I think when we're really living fully expressed, we're not even on our mind.
True.
We're just like little kids blowing and going. There's a good time to be had. There's a fort to be built. There's, I'm going to go see what's in that tree. I mean, whatever it is, it's like we're in the living of it. We're in the engagement of life.
Mm,
And how we do it is not even on our mind. So I think that's really living the full expression is when we are, I'll say in the simplest way of just following our inclinations and moving with those inclinations are moment to moment. And when I start to worry about my self-esteem, that's that right and wrong part of us. That's right and wrong. Self-esteem to me would be in the realm of the right and wrong
yeah, right.
because you were
The
born
how am I
whole.
doing part.
Exactly, the how am I doing and how am I looking, and this has something to do with me and all
Right,
that kind of stuff.
right.
Um, but it's like we've all experienced when we're in the flow. When we're in the flow, we don't have any of me on my mind.
That's right.
And then we go, oh my God, how do I get back there? Give me a four-step process. It's like, no, there's not a four-step process. It's just engage and, you know, t take a crumb, do it, take a crumb, do it, take a crumb, do it.
Yeah. And it's funny how there are many sources that are giving us the same message. At the same time, we're getting the other message of conform, behave, obey. There's this other part that says, be curious, find out, explore, make it an adventure.
Hmm. Would
And
you do it if you had nothing to lose? I
that's
love
right.
that.
Or what if you couldn't get it wrong?
And you can't get it wrong, and you don't have anything to lose. You know, like somebody said, it's like, if you can live with your perceived consequences, there's not a downside to anything.
That's right.
If you don't mind paying the fine, get the ticket. Next, it kind of points to that stuff about when you start to notice how much of the world has been created by, the right and wrong part of us, and and there's so much more than that. There's so much more than that.
Yeah. We really don't even know who we are, right? By the time we have been boxed in by so many different sources, it's like finding your way out of all those boxes is,
Mhm.
for some people, it's I think for some people it's an imperative because it doesn't feel good anymore.
Yeah, it's too tight.
Yeah.
It's like wearing your skinny pants on Thanksgiving. It's just too tight. It's like I can't bear it anymore.
Right.
And I think you can simplify it so much by saying, by not denying you're any part of anything. You know what I
Mm,
mean? It's like, yeah, I'm all that. Anything that exists in consciousness or the energy of consciousness is it's if it's beaten. Your heart is beating my heart. So I'm all of it. So I have nothing to defend. I might not exercise it, you know. I always kind of use that example of like I would never harm anyone for the sake of harming someone, but if it was going to harm someone I love, I don't know what I'd do, you know. So we possess all of it. So it's like we don't even need to worry about my identity because I'm everything.
Yeah. And have
And so
you,
what?
I I'm with you on that, and I'm wondering when you share that idea with someone who's maybe still in their box,
Mhm,
how
mhm.
do they respond?
Oh, sometimes they come out swinging. And they want to call me the crazy person, you know, and I'm like going, please don't take my word for anything. You know, try it at the paper, try it at the paper, you know, and they're like, well, I can't paint a human figure because I didn't take a life drawing class, you know, and I'm like, neither did a 3-year-old kid, and they're painting human figures and people all day long. They
And
just,
being encouraged to do it up to a certain point.
oh, exactly. Exactly. Up to a certain point, and then it's time to conform and follow the curriculum.
Right. Like how many kids were told that they shouldn't pursue art because they don't have any talent?
Our color outside the lines.
Right.
I mean, something as
Paint by
simple as
numbers.
paint by, and you know, I did a foundation for a gifted and talented thing for like 5 summers, and I'll never forget this precious, precious little angel child. On about the third day, she said, "Now, you're not going to tell me what to paint?" And I said, "No." And she said, sure, you can see her little brain, her little computer brain flatline. She's like going, I've never had a teacher that didn't tell me what I would paint. And I was like, it broke my heart for her. And I was like, well, it won't happen here because I know you know what you need to paint. And she's like, really? You know, but this was like maybe third or fourth grader. And she had already been kind of free and set her little table was in the box, and she didn't know even at the third or fourth grade that there was another avenue to create in where somebody wouldn't tell her. Wouldn't be what to create would not be coming from an outside source.
Yeah.
That it could be completely coming from within herself.
What a gift you gave her.
What a gift she gave me because I just said, I can't, you know, you get far, far away from just I can't conceive of why somebody would tell somebody, you know, a little third grader going, you're gonna have you paint this and you paint it this way. I'm like going, how is that a service to a kid? But that's just in my head. In my head.
No, but no, it's a truism. How dare somebody tell you that when you're still in this formative stage, which then you carry through your whole life? They told me I couldn't sing. They told me I couldn't draw. They told me I couldn't do math.
Yes.
It sticks because
Oh,
your brain is just soaking it all in, and you don't have. Most of us don't have enough to say, "Oh yeah, watch me."
I can't tell you how many 40-year-old plus, and I think that my oldest painter I've ever worked with was like 93. So I can't tell you how many of them have said, kind of on the side, going, do you know Mrs. Martini in fourth grade told me, find another avenue, art's not for you. And they're like, but I painted and painted and painted with you today, you know? And she said, and they had carried that for, you know, 20,
Mhm.
30, 40 years or longer that creating was not for them. When, in my opinion, every act in life, every single day is creating something. You're creating a relationship, you're creating a meal, you're creating to me, the big prize is a life you love.
Mm-hmm.
The life, you know, you get jazzed about waking up to going, that that's really what's on offer.
Yeah, right. To think about what I get to do instead of what I have to do.
Right. And how much do you really have to do? I mean, pay the light bill, but you could live in the dark too. But I mean, it doesn't have to go that dramatic, but but that about really seeing life as more of a opportunity, an act of creating versus um I'll even say the have tos, you know what I mean? It's like you can be in any state of mind you want when you live. You can pick it up off the shelf.
Yeah. It's so liberating. It's
Oh,
like we have this, some of us have this little secret about, you know, do it, express it. Who cares? Nobody cares, really. It's
nobody
just their
cares.
opinion,
Throw it away when you're done. Nobody cares.
right?
I mean, and we don't mean it, nobody cares as a cavalier. It's like, don't let some arbitrary opinion of another human being inhibit how you move through life.
Yeah, yeah,
It's so arbitrary.
right. I remember, for me anyway, when I was in college as an art student and I really wanted to have that as a career, I was talked out of it. You can walk and chew gum at the same time. A lot of people can use your skills, blah, 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 blah. And it took at least, oh, let's see, at least 10 or 15 years after that before I got the message. As I went into the corporate world,
Mhm.
did the dog and pony show, miserable. And finally, in what was both a blessing and a curse, I got laid off. And I thought, at first I was freaked, and then I thought, no, this is a message from God. I'm going down the wrong path. It's not who I am. And I think many of us that I've talked to, and I bet you too, different people in the corporate world who just realize they're not where they're meant, where they feel best, where they know
Mhm.
they're doing their best. It's really that they can say what they want and share their ideas.
No, totally, totally, totally. And that even when you say that, I I would really, really like the idea of living creatively, even in the corporate environment,
Yeah.
because I need my CPA to do what she does. I don't want to do it. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I want her to feel very creative and expanded in her field, you
Hmm.
know? So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, great. Or, the truck driver who is driving a truck and it's like, no, you know, you can look at it as a drone doing a drone's job, but it's like you're in service to a lot of people. So it's like it doesn't really matter to what you do in life. To me, it doesn't matter at all. I wish I knew this more when I was in the corporate world, because I was thinking, of course, I had to throw out the baby with the bathwater. It's like, wait, I'm selling this business. I'm never looking back. And it was like, no mistakes. I don't regret any of it, but I wish I knew that same element of being creative could go into corporate environments and really create shifts of consciousness and
Mm.
understanding in the corporate environment. And I'm like, oh gosh, that's that's like the two of us having a conversation. We're preaching to the choir to each other, but introducing creativity, collaboration, relationship, whatever you want to call these kind of creative acts in a corporate environment are business is needed,
I,
so how can we really get people thriving in those environments,
hmm
you know and instead of let me make it till that magic age and I can box my stuff and put it in the dumpster and go home. Yeah. I've heard so many clients go, yeah, my last day, my cell phone's going under the tire and I'm running over it and spinning it out. Nobody's ever going to get in touch with me again. Like, well, no, that's not true because you're going to give it a month and you're going to be miserable because you're like, no one person is an island. We've got to be in relationship with life.
yeah.
And So it paints an ideal that doesn't exist. So I love the idea of having people feel like they can expand in the place that they're at. And when they do that, then the current kind of picks them up and takes them, just like yours. Like, oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, how many times have you heard this, Nina? It's like, I wanted to quit, but it wasn't until I got laid off. They kind of kicked and pushed me out. It's like, I know I should have quit 5 years earlier. But it's like, finally, I got the pink slip and they
Yeah.
forced me to
The
go.
permission
Universe said,
slip.
yeah, permission slip. And the universe goes, you're not doing it. We're going to do it for you.
Right. There's that
But
wisdom
it will
again.
carry you to the next thing,
Yeah.
you
You,
know?
you know what I'd love you to share with us is to talk a little bit about that place in us that knows, how shall I say this, knows the truth of what we need and how it feels right. Can you talk about that?
Mm-hmm. 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 A principle of creativity that I just love, that when I get wrapped around my head, when I get really climb back into the box and lock the door and click, 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 like a New York apartment, I put
Right.
all the locks on the inside of the door and put myself back in my box. It's like a fundamental principle of creativity is it may not give you what you want, but it always gives you what you need.
Ah, I love that.
And you can't know what you need. So that's why I was like, okay, just follow just the next thing.
But how do you describe that compass that points you in a direction? Is it a feeling? Is it a bodily sensation? Is it a combination of both? Some sort of a aha moment? And how does it come out? Does it?
I think if you can kind of adopt that feeling that there's not a wrong step, if there's not a wrong step, you'll step, you know?
Right.
It's usually when we think there's a right step and a wrong step, and I don't want to take the wrong step, so I won't step. And at that point in time, you're not engaging with life. You're only, you're stuck
Hmm.
in that box with all the locks. And it's like, no, what if there is wisdom in my next movement?
Whatever it
What if
is.
whatever it is, whatever it is, whatever it is, what if there's wisdom with me um, when I speak up at that meeting? What if there's wisdom in getting laid off? What if there's wisdom in just painting 8 sheets of black. What you know what I mean? It's like, what if there really is wisdom that is in every step I take?
Hmm.
And but you got to take the first step to see that the universe is not going to crack open and suck you in. What you think? Everything's not a bungee jump. You know what I mean? Because the mind makes everything risky or new to
Yeah,
be a bungee jump.
right. That's a great image.
It does, doesn't it? It's like you get that feeling. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's like the that to your point, it's like fear's gonna you're gonna feel fear. I think we put too much emphasis on it.
Mm, right.
It's like, and we think it's telling us
Something important.
something real.
Hmm.
We
Right.
think it's telling us something real, so we don't take the risk, or we don't take a chance, or we don't speak up.
Yeah.
I don't know. And to your point, that there's a north needle inside us, whether we acknowledge it or not. I truly believe that.
Well,
Benevolent.
yeah, I agree with you on that. I think that's worth cultivating,
But doesn't that make you
right?
curious?
Yeah.
It makes very curious. Like we've all had devastating things happen in our life that we didn't invite. If we thought about them ahead of time, we were certain we could not survive them. Yeah, we wouldn't survive it would be the death of us, whatever all that those old sayings are. And it's like, but here we are. Now, I didn't figure out how to get my head above water in those situations, but something did,
Mhm.
and here we are. Here we are. Both of us are experiencing life in a way we didn't know was possible.
Yeah.
So, and I know I didn't do it. I mean, it wasn't a recipe of my own creation,
Yeah.
but something supported me in, hearing a book title and going, oh, well, that sounds interesting. I'll follow that. Let me just read that. Or who's that? What's that person saying? Something pinged inside me when I heard them say that word. I'll go look over there. It can be that simple to be the guidance in the moment. But
Mm.
we're here and we're thriving and we don't know how we did it.
Right. Right. And then, of course, the temptation is to think we did do it.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true too.
That's a
That's
whole other conversation, but
that's true too. That's true too. And if you did it, more power to you. I'm happy for you. You found a different secret, but that's
right.
yeah, take all the credit you want. I'm happy for you.
Mm.
And as you started this conversation, Nina, you expressed how we are a vehicle. To me, we are the earthly vehicle for this higher intelligence. And who's going to do what we get called to do if it doesn't come through human beings?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like that, if we don't get these nudges to do something different, how would change ever come onto the planet?
Yeah.
So I think we're kind of like little, maybe we're little puppets to this higher intelligence if we let ourselves be.
Actors in the greater play of things.
Actors in the greater play. Exactly. It's like, and what if you get cast? How can you go into that? Even if you go, I'm not ready for that. It's like, well, evidently you are.
Right.
How many times does that happen? It's like, I can't do that. It's like, well, your card just got pulled. You're up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, this has been such a treat chatting with you.
Always so fun to connect with you. Always, always, always,
Thank
always.
you. So, two questions. One is, what thought would you like to leave our listeners or viewers with? And the second question is, where can they find you or take
Yeah,
a
the
class with you?
first the first thought, I would I love what, like I said, that just occurred to me before we got on this call about the wisdom. There's wisdom in creating, that's a safe place to just make contact with an intelligence other than your own. And it's not what you do, it's just doing something, you know? And that also that I think I love the idea of being curious about more curious about what I don't know than needing to be right about what I think I know, you know? That kind of, that kind of thing.
Big
So,
heart with that one.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because, yeah, yeah. And there's safety. I think you're safest in your most vulnerable.
That's a big one. That's again another conversation. We just got a lot to it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
where can people find you?
CherieRay.com.
And
CA.
that'll have your intuitive art,
It has
everything.
anything that is on offer and is they can find it through that. So,
Sounds great. Well, thank you again
my
for a
pleasure, Nina.
lovely time well spent.
It's always great to see you.
And for those of you who are listening or watching us, thank you. And if you like what you saw, come back for more. Bye for now. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to hit subscribe and leave us a comment. Your comment helps me reach more listeners. Thank you.